this evening. The Thursday, June 19th, regular board meeting of the Carmichaels Area School District is now in session. Please stand for a moment of silence as we follow by our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Buckman.
Here.
Dr. Kraus.
Here.
Mrs. Kroll. Here. Mr. May.
Here.
Mr. Pratt.
Here.
Ms. Shue. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Sobel.
Here.
Mr. Menhart.
Here. I'd like to say an executive session was held this evening from 6:35 to 6:55 p.m. for personnel and legal issues.
We need a motion to approve the minutes from the May 15th meeting.
So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
There's no unfinished business that I'm aware of. Does anybody have any other unfinished business? Additions to the agenda, we have no additions from the administration. We need to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We have remarks from visitors. We have representatives from Blueprints here. This is Stephanie Antonini. Please come to the podium.
Actually, it's Chris Kravanik and Brenda Bronzalio from Blueprints. I'm the early learning director. Chris is our pre-K accounts manager. Stephanie's our pre-K teacher here in the district.
Okay.
And she called to book us, so
This must have been a little miscommunication.
As Brenda mentioned, I'm Chris Kavanik, and I oversee our Blueprints programming in both Washington and Greene County. We had wanted to come down. It's been quite a while since we've been to one of the board meetings, and our teacher had shared that there had been some change in leadership roles. Better. Some changes in leadership roles, and that some new members of the board and some members of the community were having some questions about what our program was in comparison to the district program, and then how it interacts together with that. So we came down just to share out a little bit of information, answer some questions that anyone might have, and basically cover those types of things. And so we did bring a little bit of information to share with the board, and then I'm sure we'll have a few extras set around and can always send more down if that would be helpful as well. But Brenda, do you want to take a minute and just explain what Blueprints is for the group?
did you want to just read those?
Yeah, I'll do this.
Sure. I'm sure, hopefully you're all familiar with Blueprints. We're a nonprofit agency providing a variety of services out to the community of Greene and Washington counties. Chris and I represent what's known as the Early Learning Program Service Area, and so our main programs are Pennsylvania Pre-K Counts, as well as Head Start and Early Head Start. We serve about 1,100 children in the two-county area through our early learning programs. Primarily, we are center-based. We're known for providing preschool programming, but we also have home-based programming as well.
And I think we're going to have some extras. I'm going to set these here in case there are enough for the board members, and then we can always share them out with the people here as well. What we wanted to talk about was there's some information shared back that some of the board members or some of the community members were having a little bit of confusion with the difference between our two programs that we have here. And so I wanted to share that since I've been with the pre-K Counts since the inception of the grant 17 years ago, I think I'm the one who always gets picked to come and talk because I know it like the back of my hand. But we are a state-funded program. We are funded through the same funding of the Department of Education that does public school funding. And so the grant came into inception about 17 years ago. The purpose of our grant was to access more families and offer them quality early learning preschool in the Commonwealth. There is a push within our Commonwealth to get more access, universal access at some point to pre-K families so that that is not a barrier. One of the amazing things about working with your district as well as one of our other partners in Greene County is you have a district pre-K, which is not the norm with a lot of schools in our area and in other counties within our state. And so it's been, so far, a very good collaboration with different superintendents, different principals and such. We've had different ways that we've placed children between the two programs, but the goal of our program is to not supplant or take away from any of the district placements that are going on, but to help fill that gap with the knowledge that there are lots of 3- and 4-year-old children in your school district, living in your communities, who aren't going to necessarily be able to get placed in the district classroom because there are only 20, 21 seats depending on the year. Our program does have some requirements, and so we are very transparent in how we select children, how we place children, what we do with that process. But we are basically permitted to serve any child who lives in the state of Pennsylvania. We do try to target Carmichaels families, and simply by the location of the families in this area, they're typically Carmichaels families, but we have had other ones come in occasionally, but it's mostly your families that we're serving. The children have to be 3 or 4 years old, and we truly have no preference on what that looks like within our programming. We have partnered with some school districts who will prioritize 4-year-old children within their district, and so we'll end up with some classrooms that are heavier in 3-year-olds. We have some school districts that may not have a pre-K at all, and so we just start to collect applications, and if all things are equal, we do take children who only have 1 year before school starts because they would need that experience the most. But it varies years to years whether we have 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds. And we have worked with a number of the administrators here to sit down and talk about class lists, about who the district would like to see put into their district program, and then who that would need to be put into our pre-K through blueprints. Where it gets a little bit sticky is we do have an income guideline, and it is fairly high. We're allowed to serve children who are up to 300% of the poverty level, and so for a family of 4, that's about 118,000, somewhere right around there for family income. We are not permitted to serve children who are above that income. So even if there were a need and we were to have vacancies, because of the way our grant is written, we cannot take children who might be at that 200,000 level even if we had a seat. The way the Department of Ed and the state funding that we receive view that is that slot could be redistributed to another part of the state where there was a need for those children below 300%. When we do place our children, we do go over some criteria factors to see who's most at risk for academic struggle or academic failure. And so we have a series of questions we assign points to get that information. But it is a very transparent process. I'm the person who actually places the children for all 435 of our children that are in pre-K classrooms across Washington and State. We partner with 25, I believe, lead agency classrooms and 9 child care partners. So that's a lot of kids coming in and out of our program throughout the year. What we did bring, and again, we can share here with the board, and there'll probably be some extras to go around as well, is just a little bit about our program, because I think that when people think of early childhood, they think of child cares, and there are quality child cares out there. They think of in-home child cares or kids being raised with grandma and grandpa, or they just lump in their head they're in a daycare somewhere. Our program has very strict guidelines and regulations. Our guidelines are like 160 pages long. So I mean, we have a lot that we're accountable to maintain. In way of staffing, we are required to hire a lead teacher who is certified in early childhood education. And so the same teaching staff that would be employed by your district with certification in, elementary and upper grades, we have that same requirement. And so the teacher who is here, Ms. Stephanie Antonini, who had booked our time, she actually is a level 2 certified teacher for early childhood. We also have a qualified staff that assists her in that classroom that has to have an associate's or a CBA. And we do have a rigorous but appropriate curriculum for our children. And so we use the creative curriculum, which is a standard-based curriculum for young children. It aligns with the PA early learning standards. We model what we do based on the pre-kindergarten PA early learning standards. And so what I shared with you is a little bit of the domains of that curriculum and how it looks when we're working with children. Children learn through play, children learn through experiences with each other, but it's an intentional activity, it's an intentional mix. So we wanted to make sure that people did realize while we are working with the kids, we are promoting school readiness, we are getting them prepared to take that next step, whether it be into your district pre-kindergarten, which I did have some talk with Mrs. Salka about looking at that as a potential method of placement moving down the line. Or is it they are starting and they're just going straight to kindergarten because they spent their 4-year-old year with us. They're coming in understanding, and I know this sounds a little bit silly to say, but they're understanding not just the expectations of school and being a good citizen and how to take turns and be in line, but they're also understanding those pre-reading skills. We're working on them understanding the sounds of words, the flow of stories, context and pictures, and those things aren't always apparent to people who aren't in our field. It's very different than a structured public school. And one of the things I always tout is we work a lot on social, emotional, and self-help skills with the children, because when there is a kindergarten classroom that has, 21, hopefully, maybe 18 to 25 kindergarten children in there, with a teacher and possibly a teacher aide if there's supports needed. As soon as a couple children start arguing, it can derail all of it. And so we work with our children to teach them how to problem solve, how to control and manage their emotions, how to recognize their emotions, as well as the nice fit with the school is they become familiar with the drop-off procedure. They become familiar with the cafeteria line, and they get to see the librarian, and it takes away a lot of that anxiety when they first start school. One thing that I like to point out is that we do rent space here in the district. So we rent a classroom, we lease a classroom, during the school year. We pay janitorial for that classroom, so that's not a draw on the district budget, to do so. And then we do like to incorporate in when there's book fairs and school pictures, but then those are things that we'll pay for the cost for our parents to participate in, because we're not allowed to charge fees to our parents. So as much as possible, we love to be part of the school community. It just gives it a really nice fit. So if there's a library classroom they can go into and hear a story or something within the building, we're open to as much collaboration that can be available. But we have found, I look back, and I'm horrible to remember dates, so I always feel like I'm making them up sometimes, and I try very hard not to. But I looked back through our grant just actually this afternoon to make sure. But we've actually partnered with Carmichaels for 10 years now.
A decade.
A decade! Which I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have partnered with more around 7 years or so in my mind, but it has been 10 years now. And so if anyone does have questions about how our program runs or how it looks compared to public preschool, it's something you guys are free to broach with us here now, but it's always something that I can share my number and my card to Sacco, and you can reach out to me and we can have more one-on-one conversations as well. The last thing that I had brought, I'm so sorry. Yes.
If you have more applicants than seats, do you give preference to someone who lives in Carmichaels and a 4-year-old over a 3-year-old?
We have a criteria that's set up through our grant guidance, and children are prioritized mainly by their age. And so we look at children in 2 age groups. There's 4-year-olds and there's 3-year-olds. So there's no young for or old for, like it's that simple cutoff for your district where they are residing that makes them 4 or 3. I know some districts look at them by birthday. And then what we do beyond that is we look to see what risk factors that child has. If they have an IEP, if they're a dual language learner, if they have a referral from a behavioral support, if they have a parent who has not yet received, the completion of their high school diploma or GED. These are all outlined within our grant of what creates the potential or risk for a child to have a little harder time coming in than a typical peer. We do also take into account where the school district is, but just organically, most of the children that we serve here at Carmichaels are Carmichaels children. I think we've had some staff children who families may work here in the district, but they're not necessarily living here. It will not deter us from signing up a child because our grant says that anyone in the state of Pennsylvania can enroll in any pre-K that is offered through PA Creek Count. But we have found that typically, sometimes all or most of the class population is district children. We are allowed to put in some homegrown criteria, and it's one we've talked about is the district placement within the district. But it hasn't come through our whole board that that's the direction to go. But there has been talk that that could take place. But I honestly would say at the end of each year, I see where every child in pre-K is going to kindergarten if they're not returning to us. And typically Carmichaels has everyone return to Carmichaels except for 1 or 2 kind of put in there,
And we do have to also make sure that we're meeting full enrollment in our programs. If our class size is, max group size is 18, and we have to make sure that those 18 slots are filled throughout the year so that we don't incur any penalties in regards to our funding.
Yes, because they will take away funding if we stay vacant for more than, say, 20 days without plan to fill those slots. We are very much like a school district in the aspect that we are monitoring our children's progress. We use the creative curriculum, which is aligned with the early learning standards for early childhood. We assess our children 3 times a year to see whether they're meeting, exceeding, or not meeting where they should be at on their milestones. We have a very nice system through teacher strategy goals will reflect data, and it will aggregate it and show us where those children are. And when I pulled the data for the last 3 years here in Carmichaels, it showed that the average number of children coming into the program for our first checkpoint, we had about 45% of the children who were not meeting those base expectations that fall for them when they're coming in. And that sounds good in a way too, because 55% of those children were, so that was a nice thing to hear. But also, as we then check again, we do at the beginning of the year, we do mid-year, and then we do in May. And we looked in May, and when I averaged them out for the 3 years, we only had about 14% of the children who were not meeting or exceeding those expectations that were in place. And so the children do grow and learn. They learn the school, they learn the routines, they learn the staffing. And so it has been, in my opinion, here and in so many of our child care partners, just a really rich partnership. And so, is there anything I didn't?
I think you've got it all. I think the only other important note to make, just so we have all the information, is that another limitation to our funding is that we're never allowed to serve a child who's kindergarten age eligible in our classrooms.
Yeah, because we are Department of Ed with the state funding as well. We have had circumstances where guidance counselors, parents, our staff, everyone who knows the child has actually shared this child would do successful by having another year in our program and pulling off on kindergarten. But unfortunately, that is not an option with our grant. It actually, when we have a data storage with Pelican, it'll kick those children out, basically. It'll flag them as not being allowed to be in. And so that has caused some difficulties. I do tell people, some people say, well, should I do a private preschool for a year? Should I do kindergarten? And I always say that's an individual decision that you have to make. I'm a mom of a child who really had some developmental issues, wasn't quite ready for kindergarten, but I did feel childcare would help with those more so. So he went in and had a struggling first year, but then incredibly successful second year, and now is in middle school doing great. And those stories vary too. There's also the nightmare stories where they're not so great. But we cannot take kindergarten age children, and we cannot take children who are from over-income families. And so even if we are not full, if someone were to apply with a family of 4 and our cutoff's like 118 and they make 172, the state will not allow them in and out of the circumstance. So that's a little bit disheartening to us because there's still community family members who maybe not financially can't afford a quality preschool education, but they're not available. Not every area has high quality care and education on every corner for children of this age. So it does create some difficult conversations, but it is our regulations that we adhere to very strictly.
Could we get their contact info? I know I have questions, I don't want to keep the board any longer.
I'll leave my card and by the time
I have about several questions.
And I would like to thank you when you're here. We appreciate you, we appreciate your service. I will ask you a question in the public forum. Do we qualify for further service? We could use doers. I mean, is that possible?
We have had second classrooms cleared, and we have to look at our needs assessment data. We do a comprehensive needs assessment because we're a community action agency, so it's got a lot of things to do. But we have, in Central Area School District, we have 2, pre-K counts classrooms there that have been fairly successful. Some years have struggled a little bit, fairly successful, always remaining full. And it is something that we could look at and talk about. We also have, and Brenda will speak better to this because she's our early learning director, so she oversees me in pre-K, but she also oversees Head Start, which Head Start's very similar to pre-K. Families and children don't always know if they're in one or the other, and the main difference is that Head Start has a very strong family component. They try to work with families on goals they may have and source resources for them as well, and then there's a difference in the income level as well. So sometimes what we've found is we put a pre-K and Head Start into a building because from the outside, they're the same, They're using the same curriculum, the same programming. But yes, there have been circumstances where we...
So we're going to take that as a yes, all right?
Yes.
So, okay, so going forward, who would Mrs. Todd contact to pursue that?
I can tell you that Mrs. Sacco is currently
Okay.
working on a Head Start program
All right, good
with blueprints, so we're already she's already in process of doing that.
Okay.
She
Sorry,
was-
I should have spoke up there, miss. Keep quiet.
She's afraid if I keep talking, I'm never going to...
But thank you, ladies.
I will thank you all so much. It was very nice.
Yes,
Before we proceed, will you please introduce our panel for tonight?
Sure. We have with us Gianna and Brooklyn, and they are here on their summer break filming for us live.
Thank you, girls.
Is that Brooklyn?
Oh, I'm sorry, not Brooklyn. Brenna, the other sister. Sorry.
It's okay.
Put that camera on yourself. We want to see the camera. We want to see your red face.
That's my age showing, okay? Are you ready for my
thank
other
you.
students? Yes. Tonight we have with us Miss Emma Bates. She did a presentation. Her and Allie Miller were part of Bud Cook's student representatives throughout the year, and she did a presentation at Penn West in May, and she wanted to share some of that presentation with the board tonight, if that's okay. So, you're on, Emma. Thank you very much.
I apologize for anyone back here. I'll try to do my best to incorporate everybody.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you this evening. My name is Emma Bates, and I have the privilege, along with Alexandra Miller, who is our senior advisor for this year. I have served as our junior advisor to Student Representative Buck Cook from the 50th District of Pennsylvania. We were chosen as student delegates to meet representatives in our state conference. And what we did this school year was we served as student voices from Carmichaels Area School District to Pennsylvania as a whole and to the legislative board there to voice not only what Carmichaels has to offer as a district, but what Carmichaels and the greater Greene County area has to offer as a whole. Our district has an arsenal of amazing things that we've been able to participate in, and as well as is very connected to the community as a whole. And we got to do a lot of research along with that to show what does Carmichaels have to offer. And we're a small region, we're a very rural area, and a lot of times it comes along with a rural area is the assumption from other places that we don't have much to offer. And Allie and I do need to develop that myth and prove that not only are there amazing things to do, to see, and to experience in Carmichaels, but there's a lot of growth that we can do moving forward into the future. And so each school district chose delegates to represent them. And Allie and I were working together for the entirety of the year from September to May on not only this project, but into meetings with the representative and his staff to show off our school district. First of all, we gave a tour in February to Representative Cook and his legislative staff. We discussed what Carmichaels has to offer as a district, and we also started building our PowerPoint for Penn West at California University, our presentation. That was in May, and we actually got to connect with a lot of local commissioners, state representatives, and other local politicians and representatives to just network with them and hear a lot more about what the other students in other school districts had to offer as far as their suggestions for bettering their schools and their communities. And so a lot of what we found was Carmichaels is chock full of tourism and history opportunities. It's a very historic place, founded in 1767, even older than our nation itself. Carmichaels is a very rich place as far as history. We also boast a number of trail and hiking opportunities. We have a lot of beautiful nature and hiking spaces that we were privileged to feature, not only in our own Carmichaels borough, but in the very near area. There's a lot of green spaces, and Allie and I really wanted to highlight some of those places, such as Wannabe Park, right here in town, home of a historic race site for horses, and now even greater with its walking trails, its baseball fields, and things of that nature. But a lot of what we don't realize about Carmichaels is the history in it. The Green Academy, the Carmichaels Area Historical Society. Many people don't realize that we do have an historical society. And I know a lot of us can attest to the fact that we don't know where we come from, but we're willing to learn. And so Allie and I did a lot of digging into our history. We're excited to share some of the old Millhouse projects, which is across the street from the Green Academy, if anyone who's been to the Old Town area. The Millhouse is hoping to become a Carmichaels museum to preserve our heritage and tell the story of our local mining history, our Carmichaels and surrounding neighborhoods, and the story of those people and what they have experienced. We were also fortunate to take a look outside of Carmichaels in some of the places in Greene County, the greater area there. From the Corbley Monument, the Foundry in Rice's Landing, the Monongahela River, and the Greene County Historical Society Museum of Waynesburg. There are a number of opportunities for people traveling outside of our area to come in and see Greene County as a whole and see what it has to offer historically and with the tourism industry, which is the second highest industry in Pennsylvania. We don't often think of our region as being a tourism hub, but what we're working to build with Representative Cook and the entire student advisory project is how to get more people into our area and how to show off what we have, not just to build new things, because bigger and better, let's face it, isn't always better, but showing off what we have more, higher levels of showcasing, that's what's going to bring people to the area. And so one of the biggest ways we wanted to show off what we already have existing is a video that I was privileged to interview a few local business owners and people who are involved in town square businesses, along with Ms. Hathaway. Her production expertise and my desire to learn more about who we have right here at home and the services they offer led us to create a short video, hopefully going to be installed in a part 2 as well, But this part one of the video is going to show you some of the local people, business owners, restaurant owners, people who've opened up shops, entrepreneurs, and locals who love Carmichaels and what it has to offer. So we thought instead of us presenting the rest of this talk to you, we would like to let the community share their voices as well. As long as I can exit full screen.
As a student advisor, I am really excited to share with you some of Carmichael's favorites. So some restaurants, businesses, and just local favorite spots that we thought you might enjoy too. Let's take a look.
No.
No, you're good.
I had technical difficulties at Cal U on the other end.
So we thought we'd do something. And we are manager, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Well, we are at First Federal Savings and Loan, talking with people you know, people you can trust. And I'm here with our assistant manager, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Sue. And we are really excited about just talking to some local businesses and seeing what you do. So what would you say is something that you've seen the organization help the community in?
Well, I think they're involved in a lot. They do make a lot of donations, sponsor baseball teams, they sponsor different things, and they're very involved in the community also, I feel. So I think we're out there a lot and people know us.
We know you and we trust you. And we'll get as much mileage out of the slogan as we can. Well, and so going off of that, how have you seen employees at this bank be able to help their customers in kind of individualized ways?
Well, I think we're a very personalized bank. I feel like we know a lot of our customers very well. We have a good rapport with them. We've built relationships with them, and they feel very comfortable coming in here if they have their checkbook out of balance, or we're always willing to help in any way we can.
So what are some things that you would like to see either brought into the community or improved that would make Carmichael's, in your opinion, a more thriving place?
Well, I do have a safety concern for the community. It's the circle. People drive very fast through there. I'm surprised there haven't been more accidents, but if they could do speed bumps or stop signs, I think it's just a safety concern that I think should be addressed. And I also think if we could have more restaurants in the area, that would be a benefit to the community.
Absolutely. We're here in Shawshaw's Creation, right in Town Square of Carmichael's, and we wanted to talk to its very proud owner. So if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Marcia McMahon, and this is Lily, and we have been here since, it'll be 2 years in July since we opened the business. And we just love the building. It was built in 1854, and it shows a lot of history here in Carmichael's. So we're excited about bringing in a shop into town. I grew up here in Carmichael's, and it was just great with everything going on. Something always was going on, so I just love being here on Town Square.
What would you like to see more of, either in Carmichael's or just in the community as a whole on Town Square? What are some events or businesses you feel would kind of bring more impact to the area?
Well, this past Christmas, we did Christmas in Carmichael's. I would like to see more people coming in to see our great small town. Not too many towns have squares anymore, and we developed a nonprofit called United We Shine. So we want to do more events in Carmichaels to bring more people into the businesses. And I'd like to see maybe a few more businesses open up here in town. It gives us, it's such a nice, small hometown feeling. So that's, we want to have more events. And the best part of when we did Christmas in Carmichaels is seeing all the people you hadn't seen in a long time come out and be a part of the event. So we really enjoyed that.
Absolutely, I agree. From the small town perspective, you really can't get anything better than a true square with a bunch of people that you know, and it feels friendly. What are some of the developments that you're doing here in the shop that are coming on?
Right now, we started with Shasha's Creations. It was we creating custom-made t-shirts, and then we kind of added more women crafters coming in. And we have crocheted items. We have embroidery from Shaw Dogs. And then we have the Christmas shop, which is open all year. And we did Christmas, and we had Santa here. And we do pictures with Santa, and the kids get to spend time. And you don't have to wait in line to be able to sit and talk with Santa. Now, come in June, we're going to open this part of the store, and we're going to call it Hatitudes, and we're going to do a chucker bar with the hats, and where you can come in and have hat parties and create your hats and things like that. So we're excited about the new adventure and adding more to the store to bring more people. I think the best part is when someone comes in and says, wow, we're glad you're here, because then they don't have to go to Uniontown, or they don't have to run to Washington to get it. We're looking for gifts, small things, things to have without have to go into town.
Absolutely. Well, this is exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And come out, Shasha's Creations and the Christmas shop. So we're here with the owner of Hartley Inn, and we just wanted to have a little conversation. So first of all, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Brian Curry. I owned the place for 5 years now.
Great. And so what are some of the things that you love about having a small business?
I love the community. I love the people here. Our customers, a lot of them are older, retired, and like family, just like seeing them come in every day.
So with that family kind of aspect being involved, what's something that you do to take steps with you and your employees to make sure that this is a homey and welcoming environment for customers?
Well, we deliver to our customers. We call them by name when they walk in. We know 90% of them. We just show them love and let them know that they're family to us. So.
Now, do you have a favorite menu item that you would recommend for anybody coming in?
That's a hard one. Our fish is fantastic. Our meatloaf's fantastic. Our burgers are the best. So it's hard to narrow that down.
Bacon burgers are my personal favorite, and I know everybody gets tired of me asking when the lobster bisque is going to be in, and that's my personal favorite.
I'm in cream and crab right now, so.
I'm sticking around for later.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to share our voices with you as well as the voices of Carmichaels. Like so many people mentioned in the video, Carmichaels, the district, and the town, we're a community, we're a family, and we really appreciate you allowing us to speak on it.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have two middle school students here. We, along with Ms. Manhart and Mr. Gillis, are going to discuss kind of what happens. These two individuals, Sienna Stacer and Mason Caldwell, placed first and second in the Braiders Financial Future Investing Challenge in the Southwest PA region. So I did want to at least recognize them. I think this is an up-and-coming class that we have here. I know you guys have done it for a couple of years. So I do feel like it's important for kids to learn how to manage money. So I am proud of these students. Ms. Manhart, Mr. Gillis, if you want to bring those students in yourself, you guys can discuss kind of what you did in that class.
I can start. So we've been competing in the stock market challenge since we wrote the grant for the ticker. I think it was 2019. And we've been really doing well. We seem to have someone placed in the region every competition. And we're competing with 5 counties: Washington, Fayette, Greene, Westmoreland and Allegheny. Not every school in those 5 counties compete, but the ones that do, take it seriously. And so, like, just to start, at the middle school level, we try to get them to understand what a stock market ticker is, what a trade is, and what an index fund, a mutual fund, the S&P 500. We just try to give them some terminology and make them just grasp a little bit of what the stock market's all about. So they are given a hypothetical $100,000, and then we try to guide them, into picking stocks that they trust, that they believe in, and it can go from there. I'll let them talk, but Sienna has an interesting. She actually came out like. What do you remember? What your total was?
I don't remember the total, but all I remember is that I had 3 things that I had done. I had Chipotle, Domino's, and Monster, and when I was going through them, I just kept all the things that were going in the rear world, like all the tariffs and stuff. It just, people thought to just take them down, and like they were scared to lose all their money, and I just kept it up and kept it going. And then somehow I lost $30 and still ended up bringing all of that stuff back up and placed in second.
So that's like, she came in second in the middle school division, and Mason will talk to you in a minute. He was the elementary, 6th grade is considered the elementary. But the interesting part of that she gets is that she lost $30 over $100,000, but that means everybody else lost more. So, and she was in the 9 weeks, like right before like April, the beginning of April, when all that started going down. So she only has the class for 9 weeks, and she was done like March 27th or something like that. So she made her trades already, and then in April, when the stock market took that hit, she lost a little bit of money, but now she realizes that keeping that money in there, her stocks are much higher than they were in April, but she still was at the end of when the competition ended. When it ended, she was, just $30 lower, but she would be higher right now. So just believe in the stock market and know that historically it works. So she was in second place in middle school.
Oh, there's not too much else that Mrs. Menhart didn't cover. We've been doing this for a while, and I know like Sienna's gotten to go through it twice because she went through it with me, and then again with Mrs. Menhart in her class. So I think it's just really neat that we get to provide that to them, and especially in 6th grade, that's something that there's an outlet that some of them might not know about that part of the world, and it might pique their interest, but later they go on, because now even Mrs. Menhart has the investment club in the high school that we were working with the community foundation, so this is kind of like, a little feeder into that, so some of these kids get to see that. And there's 2 competitions, because we did it in the fall too, so the spring one, they made a little bit bigger hoopla about that one, because they have them in 2 regions of that one. So.
Do you remember what you invested in, Mason? Do you have anything to say?
Well, whenever the stock market challenge started, I researched some of the stocks that were currently good to invest in, and I invested in them. I can't really recall what all of them were called, but I'm pretty sure one of them was Monster. And over time, I kept checking on my stocks and making sure they weren't failing me. And sometimes they were, but I kept them to see if they'd do any better. And surprisingly, they were good. And that's how I got into the thing.
And I know Mason, I had him at the end of the day, so I knew different times with the class at the end of the day, he would be on his Chromebook checking in on those people. Like I said, there was 2, so in the fall, they were all chasing one of the students that was in our class. So then when it came in the spring, there was a lot more of them that they were in, that they're like, okay, now they got their feet wet in the fall, so in the spring, thought they were a little bit more savvy in terms of what they were looking for. So it was kind of neat to see them just develop in that little short time what their thinking was.
So will they do the fall one too? They'll do the fall one as well?
We do the fall and the spring competition.
Yeah, so I'll have a new batch of 6th graders, so I'll do it because I always come down when we introduce it in the fall with Mrs. Menhart. We work in coordination, and then we have the spring. But then like Mason next year, if he has Mrs. Menhart in an elective, he can do it again in that.
they won money. Sienna won $60 for taking second place, and Mason won $100. $100. So.
Did you invest it?
I think it comes on an Amazon gift card. Which that's a little bit of enticement. When they hear that, they're like, okay.
Thanks, guys. Do we have any other remarks from visitors? Okay, thank you. We'll go on to administrative reports. Superintendent's report. We have no report from the superintendent tonight, but I would like to introduce you. This is Amy Flood. Amy is our interim superintendent. So we move on to this title. Amy, thank you and welcome. Thank you for everything that you've done already. Elementary principal, Mrs. Sacco.
I include somebody else in my report that was there for one to read. Anyone has any questions, please update us. About 17 students enrolled.
Nothing again.
Water and I believe
So they are trying to fill that up. And I did get some information regarding resources for reading from McGraw-Hill. And then I put, this is our early PSSA data. You can see the one area is inconclusive. In that specific subject, I only got the report back for 12 students. So it's 0%, but we only got back for 12 students right now. I'm waiting on the rest of the class to come in. So that concludes my report for the principals.
Thank you, Mrs. Sacco. Middle school, Mr. Poland.
Thank you, Mr. President. As Mrs. Sacco mentioned, in my report is a whole bunch of data as far as the demographics and how the year ended up with our discipline being down, our attendance staying at 92%, as well as any retentions that we have in there. And our PSSA, one thing that is a positive about online testing is we got most of it back already except for our science score. So that data compared to last year is in your report as well. If you have questions on that, please let me know. As we wind down the school year here in June, we did start summer school 2 weeks ago online, so that's been checked in with the instructors doing that as far as middle school students. Seems to be going well. I did want to let the board know that August 12th at 6:30 to 8 is going to be our 6th grade orientation. So, parents, we'll put that on the Tron outside. We'll Facebook that and try to get that communicated out as of now so the parents can make plans for that for incoming 6th graders. And with that being said, I would like to thank the board, the teachers, the students. It's been a great year here, and as soon as Mr. Becky can finish her schedule and get it to me, that's what I'll be working on for the rest of the semester, for the summer. So again, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Dravecki, high school.
Thank you, Mr. Menhart. First and foremost, I'd like to say congratulations to the class of 2025. We had 70 students that graduated from Carmichaels High School. We had a great time leading up to graduation for the seniors. Our senior class sponsor, Ms. Carrie Thomas, worked very hard to make it a memorable month of May. She had several events planned. And we also thank everyone who participated and provided scholarships to our students. We had a senior recognition ceremony in the auditorium along with dinner, and that was very well attended. So congratulations again to the class of 2025. Also, I'd like to say congratulations to our baseball and softball teams. Both teams played in the Whipple finals, and that was an amazing lead up to, and unfortunately we were runner-ups, but that's not unfortunate because we were so great there to make it. So congratulations to those teams. I'd also like to say congratulations to our Envirothon team. They were in Windberg, Pennsylvania, and they participated at the state level there, placing second. So congratulations to them. And I am working on the schedule, as Mr. Poland said. I must say I'm in the infancy of it right now, based on waiting for staffing to be finalized. So I do have, the program's working on it. I'm working back and forth with our SMS, which is Alma. And, I will definitely have the schedule to you guys in July for approval. that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Trebek. Mr. Townsend, Technology.
Thank you, Mr. Menhart. Southwest Training Services started this past Monday. 3 Carmichaels graduates began working for me, Jake Stravecki, Johnny Kranak, and Nathan Dursa. They began cataloging, inspecting, charging, and organizing all the student Chromebooks. As you're aware, I need them more than ever, and they're a huge help this year. I'd like to thank Southwest Training Services for this partnership. It's a great opportunity for the students to both help and learn technology with me and our technology here at Carmichaels. Moving forward, I'd like to introduce a couple technology procedural changes. I'm going to have an implementation of a support ticket system this year. For any technological needs that any staff or students may have, they can direct themselves to our school website. Click on the Resources tab and click Support Ticket. What that'll do is that'll help me catalog, organize, and stay on top of all of the support tickets and technology needs that happen on a day-to-day basis, so that nothing gets missed, and I can stay on top of it as much as possible. Depending upon availability of myself, turnaround time is going to be a little bit longer, but I'm confident that we'll get it done and we'll make this year work and have success. Moving forward, some other policy and procedural changes that might be brought to your attention. We're going to look at maybe revisiting our bring your own device policy. We're going to look at and talk about an artificial intelligence policy, and then also look at modifying our one-to-one device insurance policy. So those are just some topics that you might hear in the future. If there's no questions, that concludes my report.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Mr. Franks, Maintenance Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're currently in the maintenance department, of course, working on our summer list. I'm working very closely with my soon-to-be replacement, getting the transition to happen as smoothly as possible. And we're looking really intently at all the projects to make sure we get the ones that have to be done first, prioritizing. Everything's working so far, so good. The only update report I have for you is, and one that I know that people have been waiting on, is the roof project. The roof is on, and we're going to be able to open the weight room this coming Monday with the provisions that Mrs. Todd and I have discussed about the way it would be implemented and the new sign-ups for everyone. The roof itself, as the clerk of the works, the roof is now completed. However, the punch list has not been completed yet. I have approximately 6 items on mine. An inspector from the roof manufacturer will come and do their punch list. So none of this is going to affect the operation of the field house. But I'll be on it until the project is completed, even if I'm not here. I'll follow through till we get through the punch list. And that concludes my report at this moment.
Can that scaffolding, the entrance overhead protection be taken away?
Not quite yet. One of the items on my punch list is the scupper, which happens to be right there. As soon as that happens, I will let you know.
Hey, Mr. Buckton, thank you very much for that. That was a huge help for us in a lot of ways. Thank you.
On this, with this roof thing, I almost forgot to tell you that we did have an event where the waste container driver cut across the corner of our football field. I contacted a restoration company. I also contacted the roof contractor. They accepted responsibility. The date at this point, if we can do it, is they are available on Tuesday to start on the restoration.
Did they go deep? Obviously, it probably did. It's been raining for every day.
Between 3/4 and 1 inch and 8 tires, it has to be attended to.
Yeah.
You'll fall on your face.
Could you do it in-house and back charge them? We could get you the equipment.
We have a quote.
I would prefer to
Yeah,
have,
quote it.
We already have a quote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a quote from a company that's, what, about $3,600?
yes, Thomas, he works for,
Pioneer?
Something to do with
Pioneer
Pioneer
Athletics?
no, no, I was saying he has references to the company he worked for.
Yeah, he has references coming, yeah.
I can't remember, it was big names, I'm not a sports
He did work on Heinz Field and
fanatic,
everything.
but
Yeah.
he's worked at high-end places and provided us with those references, so I'm very comfortable with him doing the job. We've discussed it in detail, how he would approach it, and I think that we should, Mrs. Todd and I have discussed it, and I believe we're going to go ahead and do it on Tuesday. And that concludes my report.
So that everybody knows the procedure for the field house, in the event that the policies for the community field house are adopted this evening, our plan is to deactivate everybody's card. We will have copies of the new procedures in place for when we open it. They will be signed off on, they will be permitted to use the facility that evening, and then the next day we'll get all the information to Chief Miller so that their cards can be reactivated, so that everybody's aware of the new procedures, they're signed off on, and Mr. Townsend agreed to do signage for the field house so that all the rules will be posted and everybody will have knowledge of what the rules are. And we will put notice out on our media pages tomorrow once we get everything approved so that people are aware of the changes and what we were doing. So I just wanted everybody to know how we decided to go through with that. And the second thing I wanted to say is thank you, Mr. Franks, for your career at the district. This is your last meeting, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We will miss you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, on to committee reports. Human Resources, Mr. Sokol.
Thank you, Mr. Menhart. Motion to approve the substitute list addendum as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the $5,500 salary increase for elementary principal.
Second.
Any questions?
The reason this came up is because the Act 93 agreement is a contract, and Mrs. Sacco was hired during that agreement. So the board needed to meet with her to get her salary for the remainder of this contract.
That was understood when we hired her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
and Mr. Menhart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve a 5-year agreement with Dawn Ward Malik to provide athletic training services for Carmichaels Area School District effective July 1st, 2025 as presented.
Second.
Any questions?
Only question I have, this is the agreement that the negotiating team came
Last week.
last week. Okay.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
No.
and Mr. Menhart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve a 3-year contract with SEIU custodial maintenance staff effective July 1st, 2025 to June 30th of 2028 as presented.
Second.
Mr. Mays, a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mr. Menhart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to accept the resignation of Gary Sirik, custodian.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve Dave Franks to provide consulting services at an hourly rate of $50 an hour on an as-needed basis. Just won't go away.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve resignation letter dated May 30th of 2025 from Fred Moorcraft, Superintendent, effective June 30th, 2025.
Second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus.
Yes.
Mr. Menhardt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve the travel of Tracy Dobish and Kelly Kozel as presented.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve Amy Todd as interim superintendent effective July 1st, 2025.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to offer elementary music position to Cynthia Hayhurst with a salary set at Master Step 1 and terms per the professional contract effective 2025-2026 school year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mrs. Sacco, is she here too?
Yes.
Who would like to introduce her?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Hayhurst. The last name gets messed up a lot, so don't worry about it. You got it, you got it. You know, I've gotten a Hayworst, so anything's better than that. Thank you guys very much.
Good luck. Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Budget and Finance, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. The first one is the motion to adopt the final budget of the Carmichaels Area School District in the amount of $20,636,827 for the 25-26 fiscal year and levy an annual tax of 26 mills as well as the following tax rates: half of 1% wage tax, half of 1% realty estate transfer tax, and $10 flat rate occupational tax. And just so everyone's aware, that is a balanced budget for the school district, and that is a zero tax increase to the community.
Second.
Any questions? Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, guys. You guys worked with us well.
Thank you.
It wasn't easy. Roll call, please.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
and Mr. Menhardt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number two, motion to approve the 25-26 homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution as presented.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
Ms. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. Kroll,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Menhardt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number three, motion to approve the following depositories for the Carmichaels Area School District for the 25-26 school year, that being of Community Bank and PSD LAF.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number four, our insurance renewal. Motion to approve the 25-26 insurance renewal as compiled by Gallagher's at a cost of $160,507 as listed below, which the first one being the general liability, the property, the crime, auto, boiler, and machine for $57,000 and change. School leader, errors and omissions, $16,000 and change. Umbrella, $3,000 and change. Workers' comp, $73,000 and change. Cyber liability, $4,000 and change, and auto, $5,000 and change, again for a total renewal insurance package of $160,507.
Second.
Any questions? That was an increase of 2.4, Amy, is that right?
Yes, approximately 2.4%.
No, pretty good.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Sokol,
Yes.
Mr. Buckton,
Yes.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll,
Yes.
Ms. May, Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Pratt,
Yes.
and Mr. Menhardt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 5 pertains to our 403Bs. This is a motion to approve Equitable Financial as our 403B vendor for Carmichaels Area School District.
Second.
Any questions?
This is on the agenda because way back when, prior to my first stint here, there was a motion to have no more 403B carriers presented to the board. So this company has requested to be on, and the process has changed now, so we wanted to give them the opportunity.
How many people do we have on there? I mean, how many companies?
There's 5 right now.
Okay.
This would be the 6th company.
Is that a lot of extra work in your office?
No, it used to be a lot of work because we had to do everything manually. They changed, we now go through a company called PenServe. So this company would get the individuals, submit the stuff to PenServe, and it would come back to us through payroll.
Okay. Because I believe that was the issue last time.
Yes.
You have further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, motion to approve Hillendale Associates, Inc. as the broker of record for Carmichaels Area School District's Hartford Insurance Company life insurance policies.
Second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, number 7, closing of the prior school year. So motion to approve the following for the closing of the 24-25 fiscal school year books. Close of the 24-25 books as of June 30th, 2025. Pay the bills that arrive and are due by June 30th, 2025. Transfer funds necessary for the completion of the budget expenditures and direct the school district auditors to proceed with conducting the necessary financial transactions and audit to close the fiscal year. Actions of the administration will be reported at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. Second.
Any questions on all? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 8, the Greene County CTC budget. Motion to approve the 25-26 Greene County Career and Technology Center budget as presented, with the district shares being $623,148.08.
Second.
Any questions? That's a pretty significant decrease, isn't it?
Yes.
It was almost 720,000 last
Yes,
year.
and that comes from the fact that they did some changes with the roof project, and they got the solar grant, and I think they rearranged some different items. And Mr. May probably has a better idea.
They work hard
Good.
there.
That's because you're in charge, right?
No, I'm not in charge by any stretch.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Buckman?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Ms. Shute? Yes. And Mr. Menhardt?
Yes.
Okay, number 9, motion to approve the pre-K counts meal service agreement for the 2025-26 fiscal year as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. You were busy tonight. Activities and athletics, Mr. Pratt.
Number 1, field trips. Motion to approve the request for field trips items A through B below as presented in accordance with the district policy. A, academic league, locations to be determined, 10-2, 10-23, 11-7, 11-21, 12-3, and 1-8-26. B, high school, softball spring training, Florida or South Carolina, March 18th to the 22nd, 2025, in accordance with district policy.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, resignation of C. Allen, assistant varsity football coach. Motion to approve the resignation letter of Cody Allen as assistant varsity football coach effective immediately.
Do I have a second? Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, assistant middle school football coaches, district paid. Motion to approve J.W. Kayla and Reed Long for middle school football coach position, district paid effective 2025-26 season.
We need a roll call. State's going to abstain. Okay. Oh,
I have
yeah, so you just, we don't need a roll call. You said you can just abstain.
abstain.
Okay, all in favor?
Who seconded?
Oh, somebody said second, right?
I did.
So you said it, we don't need it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
Opposed? And Steve abstained. All right, thank you.
Number 4, resignation of S. Chavant, Elementary Band Director. Motion to accept the resignation letter from Simon Chavant, effective May 30th, 2025, as Elementary Band Director.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5, resignation of S. Chavant, musical mic sponsor. Motion to accept the resignation letter from Simon Chavant, effective May 30, 2025, as musical mic sponsor.
Second.
Second.
Mr. May? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, resignation of M. Miller, freshman sponsor. Motion to accept the resignation of Morgan Miller as freshman sponsor as presented.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 7, resignation of A. Anderson, Drama Club sponsor. Motion to approve the resignation letter received June 5th, 2025 of Amanda Anderson as Drama Club sponsor.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Buckton abstained. Okay. Motion carries.
Number 8, Drama Club sponsor. Motion to approve Jenna Panapinto as Drama Club sponsor with salary and terms per the professional contract effective the 2025-26 school year.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 9, Eagle Scout project. Motion to approve the cross-country trail project present by Mr. Hayden Yeager for the completion of his Eagle Scout badge. Second.
Any questions?
We actually met down there, John.
Okay.
And it's not going to be exactly like he said. There's just no way to get it that close to the creek line in that area that he wanted to use. It's going to be a little bit smaller. Gary and Mr. Demiak and I met down there. So it might have to be tweaked a little bit, what he wanted to do.
All right with it?
Yeah, we're okay. It's just
Okay.
not going to be what he
You're
said.
gonna have to tell him.
We'll direct you which way to go.
I think
Gary will
Gary,
direct-
Gary?
We met with
Yeah,
him.
I already looked.
We
Oh, okay.
made stipulations that he.
Yeah, he's got to get with Gary.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Transportation, Building and Grounds, Mr. May.
Facilities. Motion to approve the request for facilities, items A through D presented as, below as presented.
Any questions?
And who seconded? Mr. Sokol?
Yeah. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Community field house procedures. Motion to approve the community weight room procedures as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Blueprints pre-K count lease agreement 2025-26. Motion to approve the 2025-26 lease agreements with Blueprints as presented.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Buckton?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Ms. Shue?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Menhart?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I believe that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. May. Technology, Curriculum, and Instruction, Mrs. Kroll.
Motion to approve the services agreement with Allegheny Intermediate Unit as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2 is motion to approve agreement with Center for Hearing and Deaf Services Incorporated as presented.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3 is motion to approve the agreement with ProCare Therapy for the extended school year as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4 is motion to approve the agreement with ProCare Therapy for the 2025-26 school year as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
And thank you, Mrs. Kroll. Business Manager, Mrs. Todd.
We-
Oh, wait a minute.
What do you want me to be?
You have two hats.
I can be whatever you want me
All
to
right,
be.
Mrs. Todd.
We need a motion to approve the bills for payment in the amount of $1,540,785.97.
We have that motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Buckton?
Yes.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Ms. Shue?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Menhardt?
Yes.
Motion carries. We need a motion to approve the Secretary, Treasurer, and other financial reports as presented.
We have that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Second?
Second.
Dan.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Kraus?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Ms. Shue?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Buckton?
Yes.
And Mr. Menhardt?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Todd. Federal Programs Report, Mrs. Sacco.
I only have 3 quick items. The consolidated application is nearly finished and will be submitted by June 30th, which is the deadline. And then the rural schools grant application is also open, and it's due September 1st, but that should be submitted at some point this summer. And Mr. Towns and Mrs. Todd and I are working together to look at what we can target for that, and we believe that, updating our Chromebooks at the elementary is probably the best investment at this point. And then last, and we talked about Head Start, I had it on for the.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We started the conversations regarding Head Start because I believe that if we can reach the children younger and reach their families as well, then that just better prepares them when they do hopefully come to our program for the pre-K class, whichever one it might be, the blueprints. And then a lot of our students want blueprints and then do our district-run classrooms. So what I'm looking at is, space in the community, because we really don't have any in the school. But that is not something that needs to be in the school as long as it's in somewhere in the Carmichaels area. And
How much
that's all I
space?
got.
How much space, roughly? Room size? Couple room sizes?
I have to check the guidelines. That actually is one thing I did not ask them. I know in the past, there was a church, I believe, in Nemacolin that was the last space utilized for Head
Did they
Start.
use Crucible Fire Hall during the day? I mean, that's where we have our,
Well, we just gotta make sure it's all ADA compliant and up to codes.
But I will get.
It have to be
check.
sprinkled, the
Just
whole
a thought,
buildings, all the other stuff is gonna be for
Okay.
public use like that.
I'll pull the guidelines.
Just, give me a call so I might have some spaces.
Okay, thank you. That's all, concludes my report.
thank you, Mrs. Sacco. Legislative reports.
Nothing to report at this
Well,
time.
thank you, Mrs. Shocker. Public relations, anyone? Okay, comprehensive plan. Mrs.
Nothing
Shu.
to report at this
Well,
time.
thank you, Mrs. Shu.
I can give you a report on that. When you log in, we will be starting our comprehensive plan. That's on our list of things to do.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Todd. Okay, GCC and TC.
We
Mr.
have a
May.
meeting on June 30th because we can't pass our budget till all the districts pass their budget, so I'll give you an update on that on next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Safety and security, I appreciated Chief Miller's report. Sounds like things are going in the right direction, and a lot of people have a lot of good ideas. So, and like Mr. Buckton said, safety is always first. Okay,
Enrollment, I don't even know what this is.
It's just attached to the annual enrollment.
Okay, you have anything?
No, but it's attached for your review for the sponsor
Okay.
reports and everything.
All right. Well, nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Mueller.